Okay, so these are the 4-5-1 tactics. They've been tested for FC26 as well. If you want to use it, go ahead and copy the code if you want just the base version. But I would suggest making some changes, and I'll go through them as well. You can use this in FC26 as well. It's been tested for that. But we've seen a lot of pro players also use the 4-5-1. You may have seen them in the pro tournaments use it as well. So we'll go through it. Something like this is a more attacking variation. That's why if you're ever wondering why the code's always different in the beginning of the video, the end of the video, because this is if you want to copy it directly. But of course, anyone, I think common sense will tell you have to adjust it for your own style. As I always say to you, a tactic is like a seat in your car. How you sit and maybe how your partner or maybe your mom or your dad sits in the car is going to be completely different. You might have your seat back, you might be still higher. Everyone's going to be different. And I think something like this might be too attacking for the average person. That's why I'd probably say you can put something like a holding player like that. At least you got someone staying back. It's not a CDM, and you could even consider using a deep line playmaker defend. And to be honest, I actually really like the build-up function. I was a bit wary of it in the beginning, but I don't mind it. But normally in a 2, I prefer a holding or a deep line playmaker, because then at least you have a 2 box-to-box on the side. Or if you want to, you can have 1 playmaker, slightly more attacking on the side that potentially you attack down the most. Let's say you got your favorite player on the right-hand side and you attack more down the right-hand side. It's quite common. A lot of people do that. Then you could put the center mid like that. At least you've got 1 player staying back. Then inside forward is pretty much the way to go for both FC 25 and 26. Of course, I can't talk about the beta. I'm not allowed to, but I can talk about what I used pre the beta in the press release build that I'm allowed to speak about. But inside forward is looking like the way to go. Definitely give, as I said, definitely give inverted wing backs a go if you can. Strikers, advanced forward is pretty much for everyone the way to go. Although me personally speaking, I like poacher, but I don't release it because I don't think everyone likes that. But advanced forward is definitely the way to go. And I think both fullbacks at this stage of the game, if you are playing this in FC 25, you should be considering something like this, a bit more of oomph when you're going forward with your left mid and right mid. Having support from your fullbacks. I talked about the pro scene. There'll be a video coming tomorrow where we talk about if you are going to send your fullbacks going forward, make sure you don't lose the ball. I think that's when, for example, some of the top tier pro players, we've seen Bryce even made a mistake. Manu made that same mistake. So we're going to go over that tomorrow. Now, what I would say is, before we go over why you should change this in a second, you can also use the sister formation of this, almost the exact same system. It's the 4-1-4-1. So you can go ahead and copy this across. And the reason why I probably would suggest this is because this has a CDM. So if you play the 4-5-1, but you need a bit more defensive stability, you could use this because at least you get a CDM, and that CDM can sit even deeper. So again, you're going to have to make a choice. You have to sit there and ask yourself, am I defensive or am I an attacking player? And also, do I struggle defensively or do I not? If you don't struggle defensively, then that extra player going forward, you can even put them as a box to box, as I mentioned, as long as you have that variety and you're making those changes. Now, the only thing I would say with this formation is it's a very slow formation. Now, I think for a lot of people that maybe play this game, I would say Division 10 to Division 4 generally are quite slower players. Normally, the 3 and above is about meta and kind of abusing and quicker gameplay. This is not a counter-attack formation. This is a very slow formation. Expect your left mids and right mids not to be like left wings and right wings as you would in the 4-2-1-3. They're not going to be as high. Then they're going to be coming back deeper to help you defensively. But in contrast, when you're attacking, they're not going to be going forward as much. So if you're asking me, I would definitely put the build-up style on counter. Do not use short passing unless you're spamming the L1 button. I've seen some videos suggest this. This is counterproductive unless you know how to use it, okay? Put it this way, this is a bit like, imagine you're driving an automatic car, you've never driven manual before, and someone says, use manual. That's what short passing is in this system. I'd recommend counter. At least those players are making those runs in behind. When you have the ball in possession, you have those players making a run. Now, the defensive approach, I would say move towards balance. You're playing in FC26, you should be using balance anyway. We're seeing even on the pro scene more balanced styles with the team press D-pad tactics. If you want to try that in FC25, you can. But normally, historically speaking, when the new year comes in, a new game, should I say, a new iteration, I would always recommend more of a balanced system. High depth was effective this year, but going into next year, it might not be effective. So don't go ahead and using the same system or get used to the AI pressure when it won't work out for you. So that's something that you can consider. But I think that is basically the formation in a nutshell. I think by this stage of the game, you should have pluses everywhere. I think if you really want to, you can have one of those players join the attack. I would say for those that are more on the higher level, I would recommend even 3 box to boxes. This is the way that I play it. I have one on Playmaker, and then I have 2 box to boxes. The reason why I do that is because the third player that's on Playmaker, they'll be going forward, kind of playing behind the cam, and then you have the 2 center mids that will help support the attack by getting inside the box, and that is what's key with this formation. I think that's the way you have to use this formation, is you're relying on those center mids going forward. That's why putting the play on holding makes it more defensive, but you're more stable defensively. That's why I would say, in general, someone that's a slower player. So if you're watching this and you like to play possession, maybe you're playing manager mode squad battles and you're not playing online Division 3 and above, this is something you prosper quite well with. But if you're maybe in the rank 2 and above, you will struggle unless you're a top tier elite player. I think defensively, you defend that 4-5-1, you're going to be very solid. The downside is definitely in the attacking side. You have to be a bit more slower and a lot of L1 triggers. That's why you see a lot of professional players use this system. But how many times do you see a casual player use it? Not many. They normally always go back to some sort of a 4-2-1-3 anyway. Just one that I really wanted to throw in after I edited the video, I just realized Sweeper Keeper is what you can use. I know I talked about Manu Bashir using it as well in that pro tactics video that I released yesterday. He used in a final to win the final. To be honest, the question is, why don't I use Sweeper Keeper? The truth is, I honestly just forget. The thing is, the way that I play, I don't really use a Sweeper Keeper anyway. I like them to sit. So like when the ball's in the opponent's half, I don't like my keeper to be on a halfway line. I just don't use them as an outlet. I should, to be honest, I should. But you can definitely use Sweeper Keeper. But using stuff like ball playing defender, if you don't care about the meta, you don't care about winning, go ahead and experiment with this. However, I would say in this current edition, in this current phase, I don't think it's worth using ball playing defender. I don't think it's worth using two of them. Yes, it's cool in real life, but it doesn't translate the exact same way in FC. So although it looks like a cool feature to use, you can experiment with it. I'm not saying you can't, but in those competitive games you're playing for the rank 1s, 2s, and 3s in Champions, I would strongly suggest against it, unless you want to go have fun. That's just my advice on that. But look, that is the formation nutshell. Don't forget, if you want to get better FC, come to my Patreon. So it's patreon.com/NoGuides. We're making FC 26 tutorials now, although we can't show you the content, but I can tell you what's coming up inside the game. I'm going to show you to prepare. We're also going to go over the new roles and show you the movement, how that all works. Link is down below in the description. And of course, the FC school starts now, starting all over again. And of course, the videos from last year. So you're watching this, you're like, you know what, S26 is not out. Why would I even join? S25 videos are there. Learn the fundamentals. This is not the time to abuse mechanics. This is the perfect time to actually join the school because you learn the fundamentals, get ahead of the game. Then when the game comes out, you're happy, happy, happy. Otherwise, you're going to end up being an elite player now, if you're a mechanic abuser, and start crying the games against you and you end up going in Division 5 and you struggle next year because you were spamming speed boosts and Travellas all year. Anyway, links down in the description. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time.